tell you she's in town. Remember that song from Elementary?
No, I don't know that song. What is it? Oh, you want to hear a funny song that I used to sing? So Eric and I talk about this all the time. We had this really strange art teacher.
Is she?
She was super
She might be
strange.
watching. She might be
no,
watching.
have you ever watched Billy Madison?
With what's his
Adam
name?
Sandler?
Adam Sandler. Mhm.
Okay, and you know how
It's
weird
been
the
a
art
long-
teacher was in there, and she's like real flighty, and she
Yeah,
wore
yeah,
the
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
broom skirts and very hippie-ish or whatever. Well, our art teacher in elementary was like this. She had us sing the song "We Have Dog Breath." What? Swear to God, and it was like something like "We have dog breath," like, and we had to like literally like.
Are you kidding me?
Swear to God.
Are
Swear
you
to God.
kidding me?
No, it was the funniest
We have
thing.
dog breath.
I guarantee if any of my friends are like, they're like, oh my God, yes. Her name was Mrs. Ann. And she was very sweet, but she was very odd.
Do you think that there was this underlining, like
Like she was smoking weed.
no,
Oh.
like literally these kids' breath was atrocious, and they were.
Why
and
she was like, I can create a great song for
yeah,
these kids.
because these kids' breath,
Yeah.
they don't brush their teeth. when
Maybe
they
they will get the hint. And we did not. We're like, this song's stupid.
Yes. She's like, I'm making a song up for y'all's
Listen,
breaths.
kids, we're all going to sing this song.
because y'all's breath
And
be
we're going to
funky.
pant like a dog, and hopefully you will smell your breath. That's what.
Wait, we said the teacher's name. Will you think she's going to be upset?
I think she's dead. I think somebody told me she's dead.
She passed?
Maybe not.
Okay,
Maybe
hey,
not. Let's
can
beep
we
her up.
can we be a little bit more nicer? I think she's dead versus she passed. Or is that
Sure. I think she passed. I think she passed.
put your dog breath on there? I think she passed.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So let's get to the nitty gritty of today's podcast. And today's podcast is about talking about mental health. And there's so much to talk about. And so, again, this is just based on our experience and our journey. We are not therapists. We're not doctors. We're not telling you to get off of anything. We're just talking about
Correct.
our journey to and with mental health.
Correct. We don't know the path that you guys are going down. This is in no way trying to steer you differently. If you have already met with a doctor or are going to, maybe these are just some different ideas that you can speak with them about, but we are in no way trying to derail you from whatever mental health journey you're on.
Correct.
And so we just want to make sure we're very clear with that.
Correct. So I think today's episode is really about, and the biggest thing that like I wanted to talk about, right, is you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And I think yes.
And that was the biggest takeaway. So I was reading things, and I was just like, oh my God, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. And that one sentence, if they can't help themselves, then quit being the savior. Quit being
I
the
think the
savior.
majority of women tend to want to help others, right? Like I
That's
know
the savior
you and
complex.
the savior complex, where we try and even in relationships, friendships, they always say don't look for the potential. Actually get into, a friendship or a relationship based off of what they currently have and exhibit, right? And
Yeah.
there's so much truth to that. But yes, you try for years and years and years. And I know that we all have family or friends that...
Family, friends, loved ones.
Yeah.
I mean, cousins, brothers, like husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends. I mean, everyone.
Correct.
It's a
And-
willing process.
100%, yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Because
Yeah.
here's the other kicker to all of it. You might be like, hey, we need to go to therapy. This is going to be, they have to be willing and they have to be consistent. Because here's what I've always seen. They're like, yeah, fine. You know what? No problem. I'm going to go to therapy. They go to therapy and they go and they stay in therapy for 1, 2, maybe 3 sessions. Then after that, they're done. Therapy is a commitment. And
Correct.
that's what I realized on my journey. It's you have to commit to yourselves. You're constantly peeling back the layers. It's like peeling back an onion. When you constantly go through therapy and you start peeling back the layers and layers of conditioning and, you know, the trauma, the negativity, when you start slowly peeling back these layers, for me, I feel like I am now connecting back to the core and connecting more closely to God. And that's where what this journey has really taken me to, right? Like I feel now closer to God.
And I think it's important to know I didn't have, you know, bad past. I grew up in a very strong family environment. You know, very loving parents, didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I never wanted for anything. Where I struggle now is balancing a partner, right? Because everybody's going to have different past. Now raising teenagers, and they're all so different. So when we talk about mental health, it doesn't have to be all bad. And I think that's what people are like so afraid. Mental health is like, oh.
It's such a taboo.
Actually, it's just becoming the best version of yourself. How can we actually take our thoughts and just be the best version of ourselves? And so for me, it's been more about, you know, my husband and I, we have gone to counseling. I think counseling is amazing. I think everyone needs to go to it because you better understand each other. But I've also started working out. I've started focusing on my eating, which anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge foodie. You know, all of these different things to where it makes me feel better about myself. I've had to cut friends out of our lives that were bringing in toxicity. You start to recognize all of this stuff in your life. And I thought, you know, oh man, why is it every time I talk to this person, I just feel so depressed, or I just get angry, or I get, and so you start to recognize that.
Because you know why? That's where surrounding yourself around chaos brings in chaos.
Absolutely. You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
That is such a true, yes.
There's so many people that don't need, and again, this is just what we have witnessed in our friends and family. But there are so many people that I do know that are on meds that I truly, in my whole heart, feel like if they just change their environment, their friendships, maybe a toxic relationship that they're in, if they worked out in the morning and felt better about themselves, and lost some weight, or whatever those, if they had a routine. Sometimes just having a chaotic routine and not having a schedule can create chaos in a household. So, but their first thing is going to meds. Again, not saying that that's not needed, and that's between them and their doctor. But I do feel like if you're out there and you're like, you know what, I'm not that bad, you need to make a point to meet with one of these people on a consistent basis. Switch it up, but try and identify the negative ones. Now write them down and start eliminating those from your life. And you can give them opportunities first. Listen, I'm on a path to being positive. I really only want positivity, you know, in my life. Try and talk to them, but they have to see it. Right? We're not waiting for them to get on the path.
But this is where that savior complex comes in, right? Because there's a part of me, there's a part where you're like, but you're my best friend. I want you to be on the same path with me, and let's do this together.
Correct.
But if they don't have the willing or the drive to do it.
And hopefully they see it. hopefully they
And
do, and
that's
they're
where
like, oh,
you-
you know what? I am really negative. Like,
Right. And that's where
Yes.
once you embody that,
correct.
once you embody that lifestyle change and who you are, and this is, hey, therapy is helping for me, or hey, me changing my mindset, hey, me changing, or having dedication, the discipline, the drive to make these changes for myself.
Correct.
That will start a ripple effect to the people around you, right? They're like, you know what? Yo, I see B like really, like she's stepping her game. I want to do that too, but I really, truly, intentionally want to do it.
Correct.
And that's what I was trying to say. Please, I did not have a negative childhood or anything of that sort. It's just like I said, there's things, from bullying or being bullied or, just small little things, that
That
you
have a huge effect.
That has
Yeah.
a huge effect. But sometimes we've suppressed these thoughts, what had happened, these memories.
I had a girl make fun of my nose on a bus once, a volleyball bus in 7th grade. It was an 8th grader. Until this day, I think about that every time I see Gonzo. I think of that because that's what she yelled from the back of the bus. And I remember just being mortified. Again, you're at this age, right, where everything just scars you. Till this day, I hate my nose. I hate
Your
it.
nose?
Yes, I do. But again, you look back and you think, wow, it is from that one comment on a volleyball bus.
Correct. So just imagine, right? What if there was other comments that you completely forgot or
Absolutely.
suppressed or don't even want to talk about, right?
Well, and think about now, we didn't have social media back then, right? We're going to have a totally different podcast on this.
Yes.
But I just go back to what we grew up with.
Correct.
Were comments to our face or
But it's-
behind our
so-
back or a note or put on our locker or whatever it might be.
But that's
we
the
all
time
had it.
difference that we have. It was
Yeah.
to our face.
It's a totally
now,
different time frame.
it is behind a keyboard. You know what I mean? Now
People
it
are a
is,
lot more bold.
There are a lot more, but again, it's not to your face.
Correct.
It's more behind this,
Correct.
behind the scenes. It's on text or it's on social media pages and stuff like that too as well. So there's all of that. But I think what I wanted to tap into is going to therapy is a willing process. You have to be willing to go. It is not a checkbox, right? I did it. I went.
Or go and then don't tell the whole truth. That's the other thing that I hear from so many friends is I'll have a girlfriend say, okay, I finally got my husband to go. But he sat there and he didn't
Say not one word.
Or that wasn't even what happened.
Yeah.
It was.
It's not being
you
truthful.
You have to truly go in and you have to truly be vulnerable. I think that's what counseling is. When my husband and I went, we knew if we were going to learn from it, we needed to be vulnerable. And we learned so much about each other in those sessions, good and bad, but we did learn how we needed to handle certain situations because I grew up with my husband. I grew up with him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know him.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what's crazy is you still don't know what molds a person, what truly molds a person.
Well, you don't
and
know their
find that out in
history.
counseling.
You don't know their history.
Yeah,
You
well, I
don't
thought
know
I
their,
did.
well, exactly.
I mean,
You thought
I
you
did.
did
Yeah.
until he
Correct.
unloads.
Yeah, everybody has internal thoughts and how they process things.
Yes.
And yes. And you never know. That's why I truly have compassion for, again, broken people because you never know what someone has gone through.
So I'll tell you, just this past weekend, I was actually talking to someone and she was like, oh my God, I think I finally found a really good therapist. Now she's been, she kind of talks to a therapist, kind of feels them out, kind of feels them out. And she's like, no, this ain't it. But she had said this particular therapist that she is now going to, she used to be a lawyer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, changed into therapy, but also she's not originally from here. I think she uses like a lot of spirituality into it, a lot of holistic healing. And she's like, it was beautiful because there is this like professional lawyer side of her, therapy side of her with a combination of spirituality side of her.
Ooh, I love that.
And I was like, nice. So
I love that.
I stopped going. For me, I just felt like, you know, traditional therapy just wasn't working for me. So I went to a now more of a spiritual, which we talked about all of this, a spiritual healer, like an energy healer. And I love it because sometimes they'll see right through you where they're like, what really happened? You know what I mean? Like, and so now you have to be this vulnerable, raw person to be like, okay, well, this is, and they'll make you tap into, you know what? So let me start peeling back the layers. They'll make you start being vulnerable.
Correct.
But that was my journey because I wanted to be the better version of myself. I wanted to be the best version for myself because I owed it to myself and I owed it to my kids. You know, I didn't owe it to anybody else. And that's why when I went on this journey, I started seeing and hearing a lot of things that I didn't want to see and hear about myself. But then I was like, okay, I have to do it. I have to do it for myself.
You know, I got some really good advice. This has been years ago from a therapist. And I will tell you to this day, I still do this. When, again, as a mom, you're constantly stressed out, right? Like it is, you wake up and you're just, there's some days I don't even know what day it is. And I'm just laying there and I'm thinking, okay, what day is it? What do I have on my calendar? Da, da, da. I mean, it's like I have to do that for the first 10 seconds before I wake up because it's just, you're going a million miles a minute. And I was told once, you know, you immediately, it is human nature to immediately look at the negative things.
I
right?
was just going to say this.
Immediately, you're just so focused on those negative things, and it can truly start your day like that. The best advice I've ever gotten, she said, when you wake up, or if you are ever in a situation, you know, midday, and you're like, oh, and you're fixated on the negative, train your mind to immediately find the positive in that person, in the situation, whatever you're doing, right? So, and I started doing that. I've started to where it's like, no, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think about the positive in this situation or in this person, and what good, because everybody does bring good, you know? And she said, and if they don't, but she said, but that's when she said, but if they don't, that is your answer.
Correct. Yes.
That's how you know it needs to be eliminated.
So it's gratitude.
Right? So, but
right?
she said, yeah.
Having gratitude in the morning of waking up versus bringing in chaos.
Correct.
Don't start your morning with chaos.
Correct. And again, think of the positive.
Correct.
Right? If you can't think of the positive, that is your answer.
Yeah. But absolutely, right? As much as you want to be like, hey, you know, I love this person, even though he puts toothpaste and just glops it all over on the sink. Love him. Fucking love him. But here's the other thing, right? There needs to be a point where it's like, hey, husband, let's sit down, right?
Let me show you.
Let me show you how to twist the cap back on the toothpaste, right? And not put a glob of toothpaste that, especially now with inflation, right? We just can't waste. Like we can't waste it, right? But with that being said, right, here is where the communication between, you know, like you and the husband can begin, right? Be like, hey man, is there any way that you can put the cap back on? It's just, I know there's a lot going on, and I know that we're really quick on just brushing your teeth and getting the hell out of the door.
There's a lot going on, but can you get the toothpaste correct?
I'm being very kind here, okay? But there's a part of like, just freaking do it. You know what I mean? Just put it back up. Just put it back on the stand. You know what I mean? Brush your teeth. Like, why? Like, it's not that hard, bro. Like, it is not that hard. The unleash comes out.
Yeah. And she's talking about other things other than toothpaste, just so we're
Therapy, and I'm going to say this, I said this to you, and Andrea said this to you too, right? And I said this, is the most humbling thing there is.
For sure.
And if you go into therapy with your significant other and just keep doing this, right? Like it's their fault. Let me tell you, it is the most humbling thing where that finger that you're constantly pointing at is going to come right back here because first off, you're not here to change anybody but yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that I think we all need to talk. We can't change anybody. That's not our job, right? To ever change anybody. That is your own doing. Like you have to change yourself.
Correct.
And that is if you need to go to therapy, eat right, work out, like anything that you don't like about yourself, you need to do that for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't go to therapy just to, again, therapy is a willing process for married couples or couples in therapy and all of that, right? Both parties have to be willing and they also have to be willing to hear and change within. If they don't want to do that, then it's not going to work, man. I feel like personally.
That's why I think it's also good to have individual sessions and then come together. And your doctor can decide what order that goes in. But I feel like at the beginning, this was just my journey. At the beginning, it was actually better separate.
Yes.
Because you're kind of, because it's very awkward, to be honest. Like when you first start, when you're just like brand new to this and you're just like, oh, I don't know if I want to say this. I don't know if I want to say what bothers me, but when you're meeting with just her, you're obviously a lot more open and vocal. And then when you come back together, she has all of it, right? She knows how to address it or how to bring it up softer, right? Then sometimes.
But let me ask you something. You go to your therapy session. What if E doesn't go to his therapy sessions? And because he's busy, or I didn't want to go, or makes every freaking excuse that's out there.
I have so many girlfriends that their husbands will not go. And they need to go. They need to go. Because here's the thing.
But see, that right there to me shows me you're not willing to work for this.
Correct. Yeah. I know we've had long discussions about this for sure.
So, and that's why, and I think we're kind of running out of time here. I want to bring in your husband. All right. So guys, we have our boy here, E, my girl's husband. And I'm just going to tell you this huge disclaimer. We don't want not one of y'all to slide into our DMs and asking about this dude. Okay. This dude has and will be married to my girl here. So don't come in to be like, don't give me those eyes that it's like that.
Who's the 21-year-old?
Who's the 21-year-old? Or, oh my God, can I get the...
He's the same age, by the way. Let's just make that clear, too.
Yes.
He just looks really young.
Yes. But you know what? His grades are kind of coming in.
They are coming in.
They are coming in,
right?
right?
You like that?
Yeah, the other day I asked her about you. I was like, yo, this guy was like frozen in time for the longest. Now I'm starting to slowly see the trickle of the grays coming in.
Yeah.
Not covering it up though.
You're not?
The wrinkles around the eyes. We got some moisturizer recently.
Yeah.
Do you remember for the longest he was like frozen in time and you're like, this dude's straight vampire or something. Yes. Something is going on. Yeah. So I don't want to hear how tall is he? What does he do? Is he looking for a side piece? I don't want none of this.
I'm 6'2". Yes.
What? Did you say that he's 6'2"? Are you really 6'2"?
I'm 6'2".
Oh, I thought you were taller than that.
He's shrinking.
Well, I am shrinking.
The joke with our boys.
As they get taller, I'm getting shorter. It's just.
They're like,
put it next to her.
Yeah.
Put it next to her. Can you hear? Yeah. Sorry, we're sharing a mic today, unfortunately.
In college, he was 6'3", and he is now 6'2", and I'm like, oh my God, he's shrinking. They say you do.
You always round up in college, right? You
yeah. So you never were like 6'3".
I believe I was 6'3".
Why are you turning red?
Because he is. It is a very big deal in this house.
I know.
Because he's like, I'm like, you're going to be 6'1" next year.
He's going to be like, you want to fight? You want to fight? So thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
I know that it's being a little vulnerable, so we really appreciate you. But from a guy's perspective, right? And what we're talking about today is about mental health. It's talking about, does therapy work? And if it does, which I hope people are willing to stay in it. But from a guy's perspective, how do you feel that has it helped for you? Do you feel like, it's helped your marriage? Do you feel like it's helped you as an individual? Tell me.
Yes. All the above.
Well,
All the
and
above.
I think
All the
most
above.
important, were you an advocate, okay, of going? If you
No,
remember
no.
back when.
Not at the beginning. No.
B's like, be honest, because
No,
I had to drag you.
No,
and
you-
it was, if it's you, if it's me or it's the door, which one?
Well, it's
It
probably
really isn't.
like
He was like most guys.
Yeah.
Most guys don't want to go.
No.
And I
Why
tell
is
girlfriends
that?
all the time.
Why
I'm
is
like,
that? Why
I think
is
it
that?
shows weakness. They think it shows weakness, and I'm like, it doesn't show weakness. We all have things that are broken within us. Every single person does, and if they say they don't, they're lying, or they don't know what's going on inside them, right?
Yeah.
But no, I tell girlfriends all the time, like, you honestly, if there's something truly wholeheartedly you need to work on in your marriage, you don't make it an option. You're like, if we want to get better as a couple, we have to go. Right? I
But
have
do you
so
just
many
go
girlfriends
when
that need
there's
to go.
fire in
It's
the
all-
marriage? Like when it's
it's
like,
all
oh shit, this is
communication.
this is
Well, I mean, I think
It's all communication, right?
Right.
I grew up in a household that didn't really
communicate.
all that much.
Mm.
I mean, it was you go to the dinner table and you'd eat and you'd say a couple of words, and then it was just like,
Yeah. Yes.
But then her
Yes.
family, which I loved about it, is they sit around the breakfast table for an hour and a half just
Talking.
we're all
Yes.
big tigers, good and bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
But
it's
that's
great.
the
But
thing.
we talk
and that
about
was
everything.
totally
Yeah.
different from
Yeah.
when I grew up to where the way she grew up.
So let me ask you, when you went into her family, was it like a complete like shocker and you were like, shit, I can't do this? Like I would
No, I
rather
liked
sweep
it.
shit under the rug.
I liked it. But yeah, I didn't talk all that much, so I never really opened up. So if we ever had an argument or an issue or something like that,
You would shut down.
I would just go to bed, and when I wake up, it never happened.
And I'm
Right. So
back.
you were sweeping under the rug.
It's in the past. We'll just move forward. Where
Yeah.
she was just like,
I would just be like, no, you're going to talk about it. You're going to talk
we're
about
gonna
it.
Correct.
we're gonna
Talk about
discuss
anything.
this, right?
Correct.
We're gonna
Because you know
discuss
what I learned is that we're all wearing this imaginary backpack, right? Just think about this this backpack. And so when you don't address it, that shit just gets bigger and bigger.
And,
that
and
weight.
it's all those years.
Yes.
Right? That you're
and
just
that weight
putting-
just keeps
Correct.
pounding on.
Yes.
And it's the stress that's built up. And that's where I feel like, man, let's talk about this because obviously it's bothering me. And now you're negating my feelings to the whole situation. And you just went to bed. But here's that. Or people just give out the silent treatment and just hopefully after a few days of not talking.
Well, not knowing how to communicate about it,
Correct.
right? That just might be
Correct.
the individual.
Correct.
So you
'Cause,
think
well,
that
when you start at a young age, opening up and talking around a lunch table, dinner table, breakfast table, you open up more because everything's
the
just
only
like
thing you know.
you just talk about it.
right.
When you grow up not doing that,
Yeah.
then you become a adult version of
That.
not doing it,
Correct.
right? So that's what therapy helped because we could dig deep and go, all right, this is the way you grew up. This is the way you kind of process things. Okay, this is the way they need to be processed. Get them out in the open, talk about them more. So it helped us just because earlier in our, well, not even earlier, it's kind of a long part of our marriage. It was the same thing where we would talk, but if there was something that really bothered her or we got in an argument or something, we wouldn't really talk about it.
Yes.
We wouldn't open up about it. So going to bed and just in my mind was just like, if I
Out
don't
of sight,
talk
out of
about it,
mind.
if I don't talk about it, we move forward. Next day we'll just start fresh. But I guess that
Unfortunately, that's not how I work.
that
Yeah.
backpack.
you know?
That
Yeah.
backpack, exactly.
I guess we
Just got bigger
we just
and
get heavy.
bigger.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that's what causes the resentment, right? The anger. That's what causes just so much of the shutdowns, the blow ups, right? But then that reverts back to the other person potentially like, okay, drinking or just completely like being unfazed. And by being unfazed, that might be where the liquor comes in, right? Like, you know what? I don't want to fucking talk about this. So I'm going to start drinking or I'm going to start popping pills or I'm going to, go down a path of like, you know what? I'm just going to watch some porn. You know what I mean?
To put it behind, right?
Correct. But you're self-sabotaging it also.
Correct. Well, and I think it's important for, again, going, and like you said, it's a very humbling experience. I had to also learn certain things that I was doing was creating certain things that weren't good for him, right? I needed to show more patience, to be honest, because he didn't know the difference. And so it was like this whole, practice of, okay, I'm going to give you, what was it? I think it was like 20 seconds or something, right? When she told us.
I see you. I hear you.
But that's 100% what it was.
Essentially, it's like, let this one answer. Let them.
She said he needs time to process.
Correct.
Where I am very much let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I get it, but you've also got to respect he needs time to process. So I think she gave you, I forget now, it was like 20 seconds. It wasn't long, but it was, I remember the first couple like arguments we'd have, I'd be sitting there going, 1, 2, 3. And I was like, okay, well, I can't
you counting down.
I'm like, I can't
do
do
you
that.
know what makes,
But then I was like, I can't do that. Like
Yeah.
But like now he's like, I mean, you think this guy's red now? That guy turned into a beetroot. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was different. It was something that got me. I wasn't in my element. It
Absolutely.
was, I mean, you go into something, you have to just kind of, all right, let's just talk about our feelings in front of a perfect stranger.
Correct. Yes.
And then are they judging? Are they judging me? Are they, then you're kind of thinking, all right.
So then now you
insecurity
create
issue.
stories in your head
Yeah.
about how this is like pointless. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need this? We're perfectly fine. Look at what look at the world that we're living in. We're putting on this beautiful facade for others. Everyone thinks that we're just picture perfect. Let's just keep going. Let's keep doing it.
Or
but
is the counselor taking sides, or why is she always like doing this? Or, I'm not saying this happened with us, but I do know like other friends and family where I would hear these like, it was almost like this battle of who could win over the therapist, right? And so it was like, okay, well, you guys aren't going in with the right intentions to begin with.
That's exactly what I was trying to say earlier. It has to be intentional. Like, bro, I need to fix this. Like, I want to fix this. Because I'm going to tell you this. The grass ain't greener on the other side, guys. I'm going to tell you this right now.
Well, I think a lot of
the
times.
single life,
Yeah.
well,
if you go into counseling as one person going, we need to fix that person.
yes.
And then not, self-reflecting and going, okay, what am I doing wrong in the situation or in the relationship that's might be causing that?
Yeah.
Right. So, counselor was good. That gave me things to think about, gave her things to think about, to where we could still, process it and come back. And the whole thing of, I understand how you feel. This is how I feel. Conversations, right? Like, just because I say something, don't process it a certain way, but that's the way I feel. So don't judge me on that. That's me.
So did the therapist be like, hey, both of y'all need individual therapy?
We did. We both did.
And then we can come back. Yeah. Okay. Did you go to these individual therapies by yourself?
Yeah.
Did you make it a point where you were consistent?
Yeah. But we got to a point that we went several different times, and then, it helped that we can now open up more and talk about stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like, if we ever get to a point, we'll be like, all right, we can go back for a little refresher, right? But it's still, we understood where we were and how to handle a situation of an argument or
Because that's what you learned from therapy.
just listen. Yeah, because I didn't grow up listening and processing, so it was something that had to, get somebody else to say, okay, well, to talk to her, say, listen, don't judge him.
Yeah.
Don't try to come over the top. Just listen to him.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing for me. So I would get like heated, like, no, it's not how, and she's like, let her talk, let her process what she has to say, then you accept it. And then you accept it because that's who you are. So just to kind of go back and forth and, just.
I think one of
hash it
the
out.
biggest, and I'm going to give an example just to kind of because it's not all the time about, it doesn't need to be just about couple issues. But, he is used to be extremely hard on the boys specifically in sports. He coached them for years and years, where it got to be where it was too much. They were getting to the age where they were almost starting to hash out and wanting to quit sports. And because
Not
dad
starting,
was,
they were to that point.
yeah, they were fizzling out big time, but it wasn't because they lost the love for the sport. It was just that they could not live up to dad's expectations. And so that was a huge change with Eric, because now he's not like that at all.
So can I ask, sorry to interrupt, is that because that's how you were raised? Like you just
Maybe.
had this like someone, a father figure, somebody
Well, I
somewhere.
always
It's like you got to be competitive and
Yeah, I mean, I grew up competitive. I had an older brother that always would push me, and and I just had have a competitive nature. So
you just put that on the kids, probably.
yeah, I mean, because I want them to succeed.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm not trying to live through them, and I'm not. If they do bad, it's not a reflection on me. Don't know if that was at the time what I was thinking. So you want them to do better because
I think a lot of it is. I think that's what a lot of dads.
It makes you look better if they
This is
do
a
better,
common-
right?
Yeah.
Because they're a representation
Because
of,
you were living up to what society standards were.
I mean, that's
Well, no, it's just because this is a very common thing in the sports world too.
Yeah.
Very common, where you have these dads that we have so many friends that are like this, that they have coached their boys in every sport, and they were also competitors themselves and college or pro athletes. And they put that pressure on their kids to be just as good as they were, right?
Okay.
And so I feel like that is 100% it. It is the fathers feel like it is a representation of them if they fail,
Okay.
right? Like they failed because I did something wrong or I wasn't a good enough coach, So I think that's 100% what it was with you until he learned it's not. It's they're on their own journey.
I gotcha.
Right? And so counseling can be for a number of different things. In this household, it was just because he was so strict with them to the point that it was like, okay, they're not enjoying it anymore. Like, what is this about?
Right.
Like why are we,
Okay, so guys, we kind of need to wrap up here
Yeah.
because it's been a while. Can you give us one takeaway from man's perspective, right? From your perspective, what we can take away from y'all's perspective here on going to therapy?
I guess just it doesn't matter how you were raised or brought up. Therapy is good because it helps you talk, just kind of like we're doing here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't probably be on a podcast because I never really opened up as a kid.
Right.
Right. And even I was always more quiet. I mean, I was outgoing, great personality in a group. Mm-hmm. But then when there was like 101 or something like that, it wasn't me. I didn't really open up and talk a lot.
Yeah.
So takeaway would be, yes, go to counseling if you need it, just for yourself.
Right.
Right. Don't necessarily go because of a partner or something. Go to figure out yourself, and then that will help you
Unlock
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
be a better partner, be a better
Yeah.
friend.
If you're a better version of
actually
yourself.
better. It's all about you at the end of it.
Yeah.
Right. It's literally stripping away.
Have better relationships, whether it's with family, friends,
Yes.
spouse.
Because
whatever it
sometimes,
is.
like, you can go to counseling and realize, okay, well, you're not right for your partner,
Yeah.
right? Because the way you are you and they're them, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But if you become a better version of yourself, regardless who you're with, it's good.
Okay.
Right?
Awesome. Well, again, I know we need to wrap up here. Again, final disclaimer, guys, on everything. We are not therapists or doctors or any of that. We are just two people that are here to help anyone and everyone. And if we can just help anyone that's out there with the information that we've talked about, that is the whole intention behind this podcast. So again, thank you for viewing in to the shit that we don't say. And also you can always find us on Spotify and on YouTube and every streaming platform, TikTok, Instagram. What else is out there? Whatever it is. Our girl Andrea behind the scenes is the one that handles all of that. So thank you to all the viewers that are viewing in. We love you.